Alright, this is my outfit. These are my note cards. Lord have mercy. Okay. It's alright. That'll work. Okay, alright. Martin Luther King Jr. made a huge impact on America in 1963. His bravery and courage spread inspiration to the world and is now still flowing to this day. Put yourself in a position where you are able to speak but not be heard. Imagine having been born with a voice but unable to use it. This is the problem many African Americans faced in the late 1900s, and thanks to Martin Luther King Jr., these problems came to a halt. With my research, I am able to speak to you about Martin Luther King Jr. The commemoration of his life, trials, and tribulations are an inspiration to people with and without color to this day. As a young African American male living in the Cold War, Martin Luther decided to make a brave and empowering movement that rattled the walls of a crooked-minded America. Now I would like to tell you how. Martin grew up in a devout Christian home. He was a man of faith. His father was not only a preacher, but he was a former slave. In the 1920s, segregation was a huge deal. The older he got, the more segregation was becoming frowned upon, but changes were not made to completely rule it out. The time of his growing years, he lived in a predominantly black community. African American jobs were there, but they were low paying and menial. He was in his teen years in the 1940s when he truly began understanding what was going on in the outside world and trying to decipher the Bible. He wondered how he could love his neighbor when the neighbor hated him solely because of his race. He stayed strong in his faith and started his journey to become a minister at Boston University. After gaining a PhD in theology, he left to go to Montgomery, Alabama to begin his first job at a local church. All of this is according to the article Martin Luther King Jr., The Routledge, by John A. Kirk. Only after working there for 15 months, a boycott began. The people of his church held him to a pedestal. They thought very highly of Martin Luther King. Martin was not only very intelligent, but he was very strong-hearted. The Montgomery bus boycott was the kindle to the flame of what was about to become a massive change in Martin's life. The church saw the spark in Martin's soul and pushed him to become a leader. According to the book A Testament of Hope by James M. Washington, Martin was 27 when the boycott ended. As the problems in America arose, his mind was trickling with ideas for a new movement. He went through great lengths to start presenting his speech. Presidents, government officials, and many other people were on edge of letting him speak because they knew it would cause very much controversy. At 35 years old, Martin gave a speech that changed America. "I have a dream," he said. The 4 words were repeated 8 times through this speech in front of thousands. 6 times it was repeated during his introduction, and 2 putting a dramatic sentence following. Those 4 little words have changed societal views for the better to this day. In conclusion, Martin Luther King Jr. was not only a man, but he was an inspiration. He brought hope for a better future and showed not only African Americans, but people of all races that you should have a voice, and you can have a voice no matter what situation you're in. Not only his speech was empowering, but his whole life story was. He grew up as a young African American male living in the Cold War, Martin Luther King Jr. He decided to make a brave and empowering movement, a movement that rattled the walls of a crooked-minded America. Like Martin Luther King Jr., we must all raise our voices and tell our dream. We need to believe in ourselves and have courage that we can do anything and everything through and for others, but also have courage that we can do all things through Christ.